But there are worrying trends increasingly that are happening. And if we don't now change them, then I think we're in danger. There's some young people in the room. I have children and I have grandchildren. And all of us at that certain age worry about the kind of world they are going to inhabit. To be honest, I think, I'm less worried about climate change than I am about democracy. Like, I'm going to use a name now, Joseph Goebbels, all right? The greatest propagandist of all time. Goebbels had a great idea. And don't forget, Hitler was elected Chancellor of Germany with less than 30% of the vote. You don't necessarily, and like we have a government at the moment which is not a majority government, it's in there supported by a Caro Fianna Fáil on some kind of supply agreement or something, all right? So, what did Goebbels do? He gave every family in Germany a free radio. So now he knew he could get straight into their kitchen with his particular line of propaganda. The great Noam Chomsky, talking about free speech, he said, Goebbels agreed with free speech, as long as it was his free speech. Stalin agreed with free speech, as long as it was his free speech. The problem for free speech is, can you agree with free speech if it's free speech by people you despise? Because if you believe in free speech, you must allow them speak. And you don't shut them down. The answer is not to shut them down. The answer is to win the argument. So this government comes into power. What is its first act? Well, you know what I mean. One of its first acts is to create a new information service. We already have the Government Information Service, so we don't need another. They've got really good at it. Their one is going to be control the Internet Information Service. So they want the modern day equivalent of a free radio from Goebbels. They've got free entry now, broadband issues apart, into every one of our homes. So what we now have is we have government by Twitter. And they believe that they can control everything. And why did it fail? I think it would have got through because Fianna Fáil was sitting on their hands anyway. Fianna Fáil had done nothing. The comptroller, Fine Gael had said that this new thing was really, was no problem really, it was only just a bit of information stuff. And it would cost nothing. Unfortunately for them, the Comptroller and Auditor General said it would cost somewhere between 1 million and 2 million per year. So now, of course, Fianna Fáil get all excited and say, oh, sure, we can't have this, like. And it fails because of 1 million or 2 million, not because of the principle that they were going to control our thinking. And they were. Make no mistake about it, they were going to control our thinking. Let me give you a hypothetical example for a minute, okay? 1940. The Nazis have conquered Western Europe in its entirety. The British Expeditionary Forces existing on the beaches of Dunkirk, and 350,000 soldiers may be lost. And bombs are raining on London from German bombers. You have two choices for Prime Minister. One is he goes on a run every morning and runs 5k. He's lost 2 stone in the last year and a half, and he writes fan mail to Kylie Minogue. Your other alternative is a fella who exists on a diet of champagne for breakfast, drinks whiskey all day, and smokes cigars. The world was saved by the whiskey drinker. Now what do I read about our teacher? I'm sure Traley's last 2 stuff. I'm sure it's right. Do I care? Do I care he's written to Kylie Minogue? Does it make one whit of difference to the life of any one of the citizens in the country, but it deflects us. It deflects us from the real issue. So let's talk about this government by Twitter. I can't keep my mouth shut. We have, in the Minister for Health, undoubtedly, the worst person in that position in history. So, with people on trolleys, although we didn't know it at the time, with the Children's Hospital spiralling out of control, with women dying of cancer because of bad smear tests, he takes up the case of a young Chinese boy in Bray, whose mother is about to be deported. And on Twitter, I said, well, you should be worrying about the trolleys and not about the Chinese boy. And then in 20 years of sort of public life, I never received more abuse than about that. I was called every name, the great names to shut you down. You got to remember, if anybody attacks you about anything, you know, about the quality of Munster rugby, just say you're a racist. Then he can't answer that. So I'm now a racist, I'm a bigot, and I'm a lot of other words, right? And it's running about 99.9% against me because I'm an awful person. They write to the sponsors of the radio program, they say that they will never use the sponsor's product again. They write to other people who I was engaged with on a possible sponsorship deal, and they talk to them about this. How can you possibly deal with this awful person? It's a pretty bad week. I mean, even thick-skinned as I am, it's a pretty tough week, right? Although, in principle, I thought I was right to question why the Minister for Health was trying to deflect the issue. And it wasn't, okay, the boy was his constituent, but deportation isn't handled by health when I last looked. So, Absence of Malice, a movie with Paul Newman and Sally Ann Field, in that, a newspaper reporter is used by a politician to try and smear this businessman, Paul Newman. His sister, she becomes friends with the sister, and Newman's sister confesses that she had had an abortion. And of course she made a mistake that so many of us have made over our lives. When we're talking to a reporter, we think it's okay. You know, you're not going to write this, are you? And suddenly she realizes, she works in a convent school, that this abortion is going to be in the paper tomorrow. It's this extraordinarily poignant moment where at dawn she is running down the street where she lives and she is picking up all the newspapers off her neighbour's front step so they won't read about it. It's incredibly poignant. And she dies by suicide. And of course the point of Absence of Malice is the report says, I didn't mean anything, I was just writing a fact. Well, I actually felt like Absence of Malice on Saturday. I've had this week from hell, all this stuff on Twitter. So, obviously my family are a bit, you know, they're a bit tired of the old man getting into trouble. So I go, that's 7:30 when the local newsagent, truth God, at 7:30 when the newsagent opens his door, I'm there. So I've got this kind of plan. Will I buy up every newspaper copy in the newsagent so nobody will read about it? Truthfully now, word about it. So anyway, I go in, and first port of call, obviously, is the indoor, you see. So I grab the indoor. Nothing. There's nothing on the indoor. So then I pick up the Sunday Times. And there on the front page of the Sunday Times, albeit below the fold, is a story that the possible deportee, the mother of this Chinese boy, had fraudulently got a passport for her son, the little boy, an Irish passport, by claiming that his father was a fictional Irish person. And probably that was the reason she was going to be deported, but I don't know that, right?